Okay, welcome back to another Between the Pages book chat. And today our guest is Kelli Owen, who's here to talk about her book, The Headless Boy from Crystal Lake Publishing. And I'm going to turn it over to her and let her introduce herself. So take it away.
Hello, thanks for having me. I am Kelli Owen, author. I write horror, thriller, horrific thrillers, short form, long form. I have over a dozen books, including a paranormal YA series.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Throw that out there. I'm working on the next one in that series, so I figure I'll just toss that out there.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about The Headless Boy. What's it about?
In short, it's a ghost story. The long version, trigger warning, it starts out with a couple recovering from the loss of a pregnancy. And the husband is a wonderful, compassionate, the most understanding person you could want in the universe. He wants nothing more than, to help his wife Maggie get through this. And Maggie is kind of stuck in a horrible depression that begins to change after they move into their new home. A new home with an old secret.
Ooh, that's a nice tease.
Yeah. But
Okay, so
then, oh, I was going to, I
okay,
could say another
continue.
little tiny bit. Um, as the events and the truths start to unfold, Jake realizes it's a ghost, and Maggie becomes very protective of it rather than of him. And the ghost is wonderful with Maggie, but it has no desire for a father figure. So it kind of sets out to get rid of Jake under any circumstances.
Ooh. So, what were your reasons or inspirations for writing the book?
110%. This is because I was watching The Haunting of Hill House, the series that they just did. Well, not just, I guess it was a while ago. God, it was pre COVID. It was a bit ago. Because I usually teeter between horror and thriller, I write on that line. And my horror tends to be the type of horror that isn't necessarily jump scares or gore or things like that, but more things that crawl into your head and kind of sit there and make you think about it later. And I was watching The Haunting of Hill House, and that episode happened, and that scene happened. And I grabbed the edge of the couch and I went, ooh, I want to write something that's actually scary. So I got a notebook and I put it next to me while we were watching it. We had like 2 or 3 episodes left. And by the time we got through the entire series, I had a full outline, characters, knew what was happening, knew why it was scary. Just because I got scared and said, I need to explore that.
That's cool. So, tell us a little bit about the main characters. What are they like?
Well, we have Jake. Jake is the super supportive, amazing, awesome husband. And he is 100% a believer in the supernatural. He comes from a wonderful, strong family, loving family. He still calls his dad once a week, very supportive. And Maggie comes from, unfortunately, a broken home, and she's a little bitter about it. She doesn't get along with everyone. She doesn't talk to everyone. And on top of that, she's never believed in anything supernatural. And now suddenly she's talking to ghosts. So that kind of concerns Jake. Like, okay, is this your depression? Is this a mental crack? What's going on here? Because it's so unusual for her.
Okay, so how did the setting play a part in the book? Did you like was obviously they've moved because that's mentioned, and was it an older house?
It is a very old house. And the house and the setting have actually everything to do with the book. Um, it is, well, it's the headless boy. It's the ghost of a small boy. Uh, that shouldn't give away too much. You're going to figure that out fairly soon. Um, he is very much tied to the property, but he is not trapped on the property. Oh, it's really hard to say that without saying that.
Yeah, but that's very intriguing. If anyone knows anything about ghost stories, that's very intriguing.
Yeah, he doesn't have to stay in the house, but he's tethered to the house. He's tethered to this world because of something at the house.
Ooh, so that's definitely reason enough to go out and buy it, I think. So, what was the most difficult scene or type of scene that you had to write in the book?
Ooh. Um, that opening chapter was rough. The opening chapter is very, very difficult. The opening chapter, they find out that they've lost the pregnancy and it's late term. So um, she has to endure induced labor to expel the non-viable fetus. Thus, trigger warning for anybody who's lost a child, it's rough to read. One of my pre-readers experienced that and told me that not only did he cry, but that I did it justice, that it was heart-wrenching and horrible and awful and all of those things and horror in a different way. You know,
Mm,
it's that real life horror. That was difficult to do, and to feel like I gave it justice. And then all of the scenes that are actually scary, um, I worked and reworked and worked and reworked because most of my pre-readers, are also writers. So I wanted to scare people who do this. That was kind of my that was my marker. Like, if I could scare any of them, then I actually pulled something off because they're all jaded.
yeah.
And and I got every single one of them in at least 2, if not 3 spots.
Oh, that's good. That means you
So
have definitely pulled
that
it off.
that made me very, very, very proud.
Okay, so what is your favorite scene that you wrote or type of scene in the book?
Oh, I can't even tell you that. I can't I can't tell you that because my favorite scene is one of the scary scenes, and actually my 2 favorite scenes are 2 of the scary scenes, and they have a really particular build to them, so it's really hard for me to say anything. Um, we'll just say that it's Jake's realization that it's actually a ghost was really fun to write.
Okay. So, do you have any themes that run through the book?
Loss, survival, family, um, what you're afraid of versus what you're really afraid of. You know, everybody thinks they know their fears until something happens, and then I didn't realize I was afraid of this. Um, and and I worked very, very hard, and I usually do with my characters in all my books, but in this one specifically, I made sure because when I'm watching scary movies, one of the things that is always bothering me, I'm one of those people that screams at the TV. They never listen, but I'm screaming anyway because they're not doing the right thing. You know, they're
Yeah.
making horrible decisions. They're doing just the wrong thing. So I was very careful to make sure that Jake is always doing the right thing. He's making the right choice. He's doing the right thing. He's calling in these people or he's looking up that. And and it doesn't matter sometimes when you do the right thing. Bad things still happen.
Yeah.
So there's it, there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of survival, there's a lot of family. The juxtaposition between the 2 of them, he calls his dad every week, and her sister shows up unannounced, and it's just 2 days of just trauma for her because she can't handle being around her sister. Um, so there's a lot of interpersonal things going on besides the ghost, and then there's the ghost.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about some of those secondary characters. Do any of them stand out?
Well, there's the sister-in-law, Lisa. There's not a whole lot of secondary characters. Um, there's her therapist, the sister-in-law. There's Tangi. Tangi's fun. They call in a medium, and I named her Tangi in honor of Tangia from Poltergeist. Um, she is she's fun. She comes in, she tells them some things they were unaware of, even though at that point Jake has already done some research on the house, she tells them some things they weren't expecting. Um, the ghost reacts to her presence, and her exit is pretty fun and pretty funny, but I can't ruin it. There's a lot that I can't ruin.
Yeah, well, we don't want spoilers,
Because
that's okay.
well, it's very much like House on Haunted, The Haunting of Hill House, or The Shining, or anything that's a haunting that has like a slow build where there's little things are falling into place as you go.
Yeah.
So you don't want I don't want to tell you this until you get there.
Yeah, there's lots of foreshadowing and little twists and
Lots of
turns.
little things that are kind of important. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so what are your characters afraid of?
Ooh. Okay. Jake is afraid of losing Maggie. 100%. He is afraid of losing Maggie to the depression of losing their child. Um, he's always watching her behavior, and kind of judging and hoping that she comes back around to what the Maggie he knew. You know, she's not singing in the shower anymore. She's not humming or dancing while she cooks dinner. So when there's music on in the bathroom, for just a brief moment, he's like, "Oh, she's coming back." So he's just really afraid of losing this person because of this tragedy that they both went through. And Maggie's fears are more complicated. Maggie's fears are, I'm so sorry, I did not mute that.
That's okay.
Um, Maggie's fears are more complicated. They're the fears that she thinks she has, fears of abandonment, fears of loss because of her family life and things like that. And then there's the true fears. Um, she clings to this child's ghost as if it's family that she never had. She cares more about this than she ever did her family. And she grows a new fear, a fear of losing this connection that she's made. Um, but not because of the supernatural aspect of it. Because she's never believed in the supernatural, so she doesn't have any fear of the supernatural, including this one. But she becomes very attached to the ghost.
Does she become attached to the point of almost obsession?
Oh yes. Yes. She watches
Okay.
cartoons with it, she draws it a bath. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's odd to me, drawing a ghost about how does a ghost bathe?
Yes, yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the cartoons I could see, but yeah.
Yes, she gets a little bit. He worries. He goes from worrying about her depression to worrying about her mental break. Is she gonna crack? Because depression was one thing, but this has, gone on to become something else.
Okay, so, do you have a favorite character? And you can say no.
Everything in me wants to say Jake, but I'm going with the ghost boy, and he's
Okay.
awful.
Well, the awful and villainous characters are often the most fun, I find, so
Yeah. Well, but I like him. There's so many things. And there are, as I'm sure you've been told by the writers, there's so many things that I know that the reader never finds out.
mm,
So there's a richness behind him that it's a secret essentially because it never made it to the page, but it does weigh which character I prefer. But I do really like Jake. I like all of them. See, I'm not going to say none. I'm going to say all three. Uh, they're fun characters.
okay, so, well, obviously, you've written a ghost story and you've written other horror things. Are there any other genres that you've done or would like to try in the future?
I actually have several outlines for some chick lit. I don't know when or if I will ever get to it, but it's like it's chick lit for real girls. It's not fantasy. It's more I just teeter lines so horribly. I cross over those lines so horribly. It's more of a chick lit and a thriller got together
Sort of
and,
suspenseful chick lit.
suspenseful chick lit, but still chick lit. It's 100% chick lit.
Yeah,
I look at that outline every once in a while and I go, "What was I thinking?" And then
yeah,
I'll be like, "Oh, but I should write that because it's a fun story."
yeah. I'm currently in that dilemma myself because I'm apparently going to write a paranormal cozy mystery. So, yeah,
Well, but see, cozy mysteries are fun. My mom
yeah,
reads
they are.
those.
But generally, I'm writing things that are dark and stabby, so it's going to be a challenge for me. But I'm going to have fun with it.
Now, see, my mom reads mysteries, and I will tell you, she is voracious. She is absolutely ridiculously voracious. She has a notebook that she keeps with her because she goes to the library. She abuses the library. And she started getting books and then getting home and getting 5 pages in and being like, I read this. So she had to start keeping track of what she reads. And one of the things that she always judges, if she doesn't have a body in the first 5 pages, she gets mad. Like, she'll get mad at the book if there's not a dead body in the first 5 pages. It's like, I think that
Yeah,
says something about your mom.
yeah. I got to cut down on the bodies for this one. So,
No, no, no,
well,
never cut
it is
down.
cozy mystery. I can't have as many bodies as I usually
Well,
have.
you can, but you can, you just have to make them more cozy.
Yeah, well, I'm used to like massacring villages, so I might have to tone it down a little bit.
Maybe a little, maybe a little. But then again, depending on how you wrap it around,
Yeah, I'm not set in Nova Scotia, so I'm not sure if massacring a village in Nova Scotia is going to be a good thing.
there's not a whole lot of villages in Nova Scotia, are there?
Oh, there's tons. Most of Nova Scotia's villages, actually, but I mean, like they're modern day villages, but they're still classed as villages.
I feel like someone would notice if a whole village was gone.
Yes, they would. Okay, so have you got any projects upcoming that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I'm working on the next book in the Wilted Lilies series, which is my YA paranormal. And I will be starting the next thriller very soon, which is an 80s throwback, which will be fun.
Sounds fun. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up here, and I'll let you tell everyone where they can find you and your books.
KelliOwen.com is the easiest way to do it. KelliOwen.com. All my socials are on there. The Amazon is on there. Crystal Lake is on there. All of my books, all of my upcoming appearances, anything like that that you could possibly want to find. And come find me on the socials. Stalk me, talk to me, play with me.
Yeah. And you'll find her website and the link to the Headless Boy in the description below, so be sure and check it out. Thanks for being here today as my guest. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and that's all for this interview, and join us next time, and bye for now.